Woman says it doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Man says, what does that mean? It doesn't feel right. She says it's something. He says something, something. What is this something? She says, I'm telling you, something doesn't feel right. Now, men can learn it, but women have it. Learn to read your emotion. Learn to read what others are feeling so you can adjust your communication, so you can adjust your approach, so you can get your message across, so you can communicate well. Communication, having something to say and saying it well. Communication is one of the key ingredients in being able to work well with others, in being able to build our ambition by working well with others. Now that we've talked about some basic communication skills, you need to understand how best to apply them. What you can do and cannot do in the marketplace. How you talk and act while playing volleyball on a Saturday afternoon probably isn't the same as how you'd talk and act around a group of people who want to invest in your company. How you communicate with your old friends and family members is probably an abbreviated version of how you should communicate in a high-powered business setting. When you meet a new group of people, you must watch and listen and be alert before you decide on the appropriate communication style. You might greet old friends with a slap on the back and a tasteless joke, but you certainly wouldn't greet a multi-million-dollar opportunity that way. You must take a few moments to study the temperament of your audience. Listen to how they communicate with each other. Watch how they react to situations and comments. Study your audience, lest you engage in some behavior that will prove inappropriate and costly. Some people would make about $150,000 a year, but they have to be satisfied with about $50,000 because their behavior is costing them the rest of it. They've got the skills, but their behavior is costing them. Keep setting them aside. So let's talk about some of those things in the marketplace that might cost you more than you want to pay. Here's one: bad language. You've got to be careful with language in the marketplace. You've got to be careful here. Some language is more appropriate for the bar. So what should you do? Leave it in the bar. Or else what? You'll have to pay the consequences. We must all be students of consequences, things that cost us, and language is one of the most important ones to consider. Language in the marketplace. Now, if you cuss and tell dirty jokes in the marketplace, that's acceptable to who? Other people in the marketplace who cuss and tell dirty jokes. You've got no problem with them. Matter of fact, they'll probably enjoy having you around. But if you cuss and tell dirty jokes to those who will be offended, then what? They certainly won't want to have you around. And what happens then? It'll cost you. Next one, being late. In some circles it's acceptable, but I'm telling you, most people view being late as being disrespectful. Disrespectful of their time. And if they feel that you're disrespectful of their time, they'll also feel you're disrespectful of their business. Why? Because everything affects everything. Now, if you have a legitimate excuse and your reputation already says that you're punctual, then you might get away with it a time or two. But be careful about being late. One day you just may be too late to close the deal. Be on time. You've also got to be careful about using inside lingo on the outside world. Your industry's buzzwords are just that. Your industries. Be careful not to use this terminology on the outside. People who speak computer language, they've got to learn to shift gears when they go out into the open marketplace. So watch your lingo. Remember to shift gears from the inside lingo to the outside world. You've got to become a good judge of character. Why? To protect yourself. There are shepherds, and there are sheep, and there are wolves. and we must be wise and understand that some wolves are so clever they've learned to dress up like sheep. But do not miss the story of the full drama of life called good and evil. Awareness, sensitivity, understanding, knowing the scenario and being on alert for what is called the inevitable. We must learn to be a good judge of character. And here's something else we must learn to do to work well with others. We must learn to deliver criticism and express anger in a safe way. It's inevitable. During the course of working with others, it's inevitable that you'll come across some situation that'll result in anger. Or criticism needs to be handed down. It's just a part of life, that you delegate some responsibility, and through either a lack of good communication or a lack of good listening on the other end, it's inevitable that some situation will get you all hot and bothered. Now what do you do with your anger? You can't lash out. You can't lash out at your children or your friends or your colleagues. But here's what you can do, and here's what you must do. Lash out at the problem or the situation. Honey, you say to your teenager, you know I love you, but what you did was wrong. I hate it that you took the car without asking first. And I especially hate it that you got a speeding ticket. What were you thinking? So whatever the punishment might be, make sure you're punishing the bad deed, not the person. Your assistant ends up sending the contract to the seller instead of the buyer. Make sure your assistant knows that you appreciate him, but you don't appreciate the wrongdoing. Whatever criticism you hand down, whatever anger you're processing, make sure that the one to receive it knows full well that you care about the person, but hate what they did. And if you're too steamed up to be this rational about it, make sure to keep your mouth closed until you've cooled off a bit. In Dale Carnegie's book, The Leader in You, he describes the attributes of kind criticism. He quotes Andres Navarro's technique of kind criticism as the 3-for-1 rule. If you don't like something about the way someone works, write down the problem. But before you confront that person with criticism, discover 3 good things about the person. Noticing 3 good things gives you the right to criticize 1 bad thing. Interesting thought. Criticism after appreciation. With well-delivered words, well-chosen words, you can admonish the doing without admonishing the doer. This is important. You love the person. You hate the act. Make sure they know the difference. You don't have to couch the words. You don't have to hide your anger or disappointment. But you do have to make sure that your communication is effective so that the wrongdoing will never be done again. And the more you care, the stronger you can be. This has to do with intensity now. The intensity of your communication to those you work with, those you live with, those you're close to. The more you care, the stronger you can be. If you really care for someone, I'm telling you, they'll give you room to get right on their case. They'll give you room to use some powerful language. They'll give you room to go right after them. If they know that you really care. You can solve some sticky problems. You can attack the dark side and the bad behavior. They'll give you room if they know how much you care. And the more you care, the stronger you can be. Now that we've discussed communication skills, let's move on to see how we can translate these skills into creating more business. Networking. Working within a group of people that we know and/or working within a group of people that we want to know. Let's quickly go through some techniques for effective networking. Number 1, when developing relationships through networking, Remember that they must be mutually beneficial. The favor you do for someone else is expected to be returned someday. For each contact you give someone else, you expect one in return. For each tip you give out, you expect one back. Or as the law of sowing and reaping says, it'll come back to you multiplied. That's number one. Make sure your networking relationships are mutually beneficial. Number two, keep the relationship active. Schedule quarterly lunches. Plan to meet at Chamber of Commerce networking events. If you see a story about your contact in the newspaper, clip it out and send it to her with a note of congratulations. Send articles that may be relevant to his or her career. Keep in touch. Don't just call when you need something. Keep in touch. Number three, express your gratitude and appreciation. Make it clear that you're appreciative of the contact or tip that was sent your way. Send a finder's fee if your latest deal was the result of your contact. Send a special gift if a tip panned out. A man I know got a stock tip in passing from an acquaintance of his. Well, the stock made this man thousands of dollars richer. What'd he do? Sent a bottle of Dom Perignon and 2 very expensive gold-rimmed crystal glasses and a thank you note. Now, he didn't have to do that, but I'm telling you, the recipient will never forget this guy. Number three, don't forget to express your gratitude and appreciation. Number four, keep your professional relationships professional. If it looks like jealousy is rearing its ugly head, firmly but politely, cut it off. When the relationship no longer serves you, no longer is mutually beneficial, step away from it. If the relationship you're building through networking appears to be harmful, take a sword to it. The fifth key to networking is to remember the other person's need for achievement. This is an important tip to keep in mind, especially when you're dealing with someone who's not as advanced in their career as you are. By respecting this need, by providing guidance and leadership, by sharing some of your personal experiences with this person, they'll end up bringing opportunities to you. Why? Because they value your insight. They value your experience. And most of all, because they value the time and the knowledge you've shared with them. Acknowledge those who are on their way up. You may just find out one day that it was your extra effort that gave them the boost they needed. So, with your communication skills in place, you'll increase your ability to work well with others. Listen, talk, share, sympathize, empathize, and when you extend your reach to work well with others that you know, you'll be able to extend your reach to work well with those you don't. You'll be able to develop networking skills. And once you do, you'll find that networking is an incredible way to increase your opportunities, tip by tip, contact by contact. And now recall the laws of sowing and reaping, of giving and receiving. The more you give of yourself in an attempt to communicate well with others and work well with others, the more you give, the more you'll receive as you strive to build your ambition. And here's the last but most important key to working well with others. Learn to work with others that deserve it, not those who need it. You must follow the guidelines of life itself. Life responds to what? Deserve. So work with the people who deserve it, not the people who need it. And here's what else you've got to do. Show people how to deserve it. How to deserve your work. How to deserve your time. How to deserve your attention. Show people how to make small steps of progress and reward them along the way. And show them how to deserve it one step at a time. One step at a time, until finally they work themselves out of need and into deserve. Out of the shadows of despair and poverty into the light of ambition. Self-appreciation, the sixth step to building your ambition. Self-appreciation says, acknowledge your accomplishments, appreciate your potential. Know that your appreciation of yourself and your achievements will continue to fuel the fire of ambition. Self-appreciation is an integral part of success. You must develop a strong appreciation for your own style, your own methods, your own process. There is no stereotype for success. There is no model for success. There is no such thing. So what exactly is success? Success is the steady progress toward your personal goals, your own personal goals, designed by you, not by the latest #1 bestseller on the book list, not by some philosophy that's imposed on you. Success is the steady progress toward your own personal goals. Success is not an amount of money. Success is not a bank account. Success is the steady progress of you toward your goals, the person you want to be, the things you want to have, for yourself and for your family, your business goals, your personal goals, spiritual goals, health goals, the goals that give you satisfaction and joy. To me, that's what success is, and my definition of success could be radically different than yours. So there's no one definition of success. You've got to have this much money in the bank, you've got to look like this, you've got to live in this kind of home, you've got to have this kind of financial security. In my personal opinion, those things have nothing to do with success. Success is your own steady progress toward the goals you set, daily, weekly, monthly, for your life, for your business, for your family, for yourself. If a man tells me, hey, pretty soon I'm cashing it all in, and I'm going to head for the mountains and live in a cabin and feed the squirrels and live off the land, I'm telling you, if I get a report later that said this man did that, cashed it all in, headed for the mountains, bought a cabin, is feeding the squirrels and living off the land, if I were to hear that, I'd say this man was a smashing success. So success is not some stereotype. Resist all stereotypes. There is no one model. There is no one set way. There is only your way. It takes a combination of philosophies and ideologies. It takes a combination of thoughts to mold and emerge with your own. We need the mental food that others provide. We need mental exercise. We need to open up our minds to different alternatives. We need to learn to appreciate the other side of the debate so that we can strengthen our own and defend our own. We need to expose ourselves to a wide range of thoughts and philosophies and ideologies. You've got to listen to a variety of speakers. Read a variety of books. No one speaker has all the answers for you. No one book has all the answers. You can't get all the answers from one person. We need a variety of influence to give us input, to give us ideas, to manage our business, to manage our relationships, to manage our finances, to take advantage of our time. We need a variety of influences. We need a variety of books in our library. We need a variety of tapes in our video library, our audio library. We need a variety of voices. And here's what else we need. We need a variety of points of view. Points of view can be so valuable. Somebody says, did you ever see it from over here? And you say, no. So you step over there where they are and you take a look back over here from their point of view. And you say, my gosh, I never thought from this perspective. It's so different. No wonder you think the way you do. Here's the clue. Take advantage of all that's available in terms of mental food and mental exercise. Be eager to learn. Always be eager to learn, no matter how far along you are in the journey, no matter where you are in your success. Keep that eagerness to learn. Gather up as much knowledge as you can. And then what? Debate it. Put it all on the table and look at it. Dissect it. Turn it around and stare at it. Ask questions. Make statements. Don't take it for granted that one person has all the answers you're looking for. Take their knowledge, but don't take it as the only knowledge. Make sure that what you finally do, the model you develop of strong appreciation for your own style and your own methods and your own process for achievement, make sure that what you finally do is a product of your own conclusion. That's what's valuable. Not to just go do what someone says without debating it. Consider the source and then do it your way. You can take an interest in what someone says, digest it, take notes on it, but then debate it. Look at it from all angles. Be a student, not a follower. Building your ambition is a process unique to each and every one of us. Gather all the knowledge that you can. Then develop your approach as a product of your own conclusions. Your own conclusions, not someone else's conclusions. Your own conclusions. You can't fall for other people's philosophies. They may not be right. As you collect knowledge, you must sort through it and find out what's valuable. Then you can develop your own philosophy. And your own philosophy becomes the most important of your guidance systems, one of your guiding lights. So develop your own plan, lest you get into trouble with someone else's. And debate the plans of others, the philosophies of others, the achievement styles of others, the way others appreciate themselves. Debate all this. Why? Because it affects everything. The value you place on your plan, the value you place on yourself, the value you place on life in general affects everything around you. It even affects how you respect time, the 24 hours a day given to each of us to do with as we please. There's a connection between appreciating yourself and appreciating and respecting time. People who appreciate themselves understand and respect the use of time. Here's what I call the best-kept secret of the rich. Interesting discovery that I made one day. I couldn't believe it when I found out that rich people have about 24 hours a day, and poor people have about 24 hours a day. Wouldn't that drive you mad until you found out what the difference was? I'm telling you, the difference is in the management of the time. A few simple disciplines practiced every day, and your whole life can change. Your future can change. Your income can change. But the rest of it is getting a handle on the management of time. Now, we invested one whole session in this series to proper self-discipline. And guess what? Discipline shows up again here, as it does everywhere. Discipline is also important in how you manage your time, the 24 hours given to you every day. So I want to give you a few things that might help you to get a handle on the management of time. Here's the first one. Ignore the subject. Ignore the subject. That's not a bad suggestion. Somebody says, well, I've been behind all my life. Doesn't look like that's going to change. Forget it. I like that approach. At least it's honest. Nobody's ideas of success and time management are right for you unless they can be applied by you. We've already said that it's important to resist all stereotypes for success, to resist all models of success. So here's one alternative to time management. Ignore the subject. Don't let somebody pressure you by saying, here's what you've got to do with your time. Resist all that. Take advice, but don't take orders. Let somebody give you their opinions and then accept the ones you want to accept. And the ones you don't want to accept, don't accept. Resist all attempts to pressure you into becoming the model of success. Resist all that. Do it on your own time, the time that's right for you. Now here's another alternative to time management. Step down to an easier task. Step down to something more manageable. Something that doesn't require that much time, that much effort. That's an alternative. Some people in sales are promoted to being manager. They say, oh, now I've got to be a manager. Heck with this, it takes 14 hours a day, worrying about everybody. I'm getting back out in the field. Get my sales job back. And that's a good alternative. Somebody works for a company and says, oh, I'd love to own one of these companies. Then they find out what it takes to own one of those companies. What kind of pressure, what kind of hours. Can't play golf 3 days a week. And finally says, hey, you know, I've had it up to here with all the headaches and trauma and dealing with all these people's lives and running a company and being responsible for all the stuff. I'm going to step down. And that's a good alternative. It really is. Don't let yourself be pressured when stepping down might give you a better lifestyle. Little girl complained that her father never played with her. She said, Daddy comes home, got his briefcase full of papers, says hello to me, pats me on my head, and disappears. She said, how come my daddy can't play with me when he comes home? And her mother explained and said, look, your daddy works very hard. He loves you very much. But at the office, he's got so much to do that he can't get it all done. So he has to bring the rest of it home. So that's why your daddy can't play with you. And the little girl says, why don't they just put him in a slower group? Not a bad idea. And I offer that here. If you're too busy to play with your kids, you need to join a slower group. You've got to have time for your family. I went for some things that cost me too much in those early days. If I'd known how much it was going to cost, I never would have paid the price. So you've got to weigh the consequences, how to make everything fit. Sometimes that extra money isn't worth it if it pressures you into losing touch with somebody you really care about. So family must be considered here as well. But here's the best alternative to time management, and that's to get more out of you. If we just get more from ourselves, we can make an hour as valuable as 10 hours used to be. We can get as much done now in a day as we used to get done in a week. Efficiency, skills, knowledge, awareness, practice, getting better, all of that value we can bring to the marketplace, bring to the job, and that's where the real time management comes in. I found out that a normal day is enough time. 8 hours, 10 hours, 5 days, 6 days, that's enough time. The rest of it now has got to be the best use of that time. There's a movement going on now in the workplace. The movement is people setting up home offices, telecommuting to work, working at home and communicating with the office through fax machines and computers and modems and delivery services. People are even starting to work in one state and live in another. They don't need to be at the office all the time. For some jobs, they don't need to be at the office at all. And guess what some of these folks find out? The projects that used to take 2 days, they get done in a few hours. Why? Because they have no distractions. No people stopping by their office to chat. No unsolicited phone calls to take. No unexpected visitors to deal with. When they work, they work. When they play, they play. Now, not everybody has the luxury of having a job that can work like this, but maybe some of the same principles can be applied at the office, like do not disturb times, like scheduling your day so that you're totally undisturbed during those hours in which you complete your best work, like setting certain hours each day to take appointments and phone calls. And that's really where the magic of personal development comes in. Knowing who you are, becoming more valuable, being more valuable, knowing the value of your rhythms in getting certain tasks done, getting things done more efficiently in a shorter period of time, working smarter, not harder. Let me give you some more thoughts now on time management. Just a list of things you should consider. Number 1, you run the day or it runs you. Part of the key to time management is just staying in charge. But here's what usually happens. We start something and we're in control. But as time starts to unfold, pretty soon we start losing control. You know, you start a business and you're running it. And pretty soon, what? It's running you. You have to stop every once in a while and say, hold it, hold it. Who's in charge here? So here's a good phrase to jot down. Something will master and something will serve. That's the nature of life. That's just how it goes on this spinning planet of ours. Something will master and something will serve. And here's what you have to make sure you become. The master. You run the day. You run the business. You run the enterprise. You run the job. You stay in charge. Now here's how you can stay in charge. Have your written set of goals with you at all times. Then prioritize your goals and decide which is important. Then constantly review your goals. Then have your goals match up to a good written game plan. The game plan that we talked about earlier. The game plan that says, take it out of your head and put it down on paper. Then, with game plan in hand, try to separate the majors from the minors. The really important things from the things you just have to do. And prioritize. Is this a major day or a minor day? And adjust your time accordingly. Is this a major conversation or a minor conversation? A lot of people don't do well, and here's why. They major in minor things. They spend too much time on things that don't count, and too little time on things that should count. So you're about to pick up the phone and make a call, but before you do, decide, is this a major call? Is this a minor call? If it's a major call, it needs a little preparation. If it's a minor call, a few pleasantries will probably do. Hi, how are you? Tell a little joke, exchange some pleasantries. So a little evaluation will save you a lot of time. Major, minor. Next time management essential, don't mistake movement for achievement. You probably know some people around you who are just plain busy being busy. You've got to be busy being productive. It's easy to get faked out by being busy. Guy comes home at night, flops down in the easy chair, says, I've been going. But the real question is, doing what? I mean, it's the doing what. That's the real key, not the going. Some people are going, doing figure eights. They're not making much progress. Don't mistake movement for achievement. Evaluate the hours in your days and see if there's not a lot of wasted time in there that you could manage better. Do more with. The next key to good time management is good concentration. Focus. You've just got to zero in on the job at hand. Concentrate. Don't start your business day until you get to the business. I used to start my business day in the shower. I'm trying to compose a letter in the shower. The cobwebs haven't been cleared out yet. I'm not awake yet, and I'm trying to compose a letter. Found out it doesn't work. Wait till you get to the office to start your work. Wait until you get to work before you get to the work. Don't start your business day at the breakfast table. It's not good for the family. Here's another one. On the way to work, don't think about work. It's dangerous. There's a lot of cars out there on the highway. Can you imagine if everybody was driving to work thinking about work? It'd be a mess. Accidents everywhere. Here's what you've got to do. On the way to work, concentrate on the way. In the shower, concentrate on the shower. At the breakfast table, concentrate on the family. Wherever you are, be there. Don't be somewhere else. Give whatever you're doing the gift of attention. Give people the gift of attention. The gift of attention. Concentration. Next time management essential, learn to say no. Boy, it's easy in a social society to just say yes too much, over-obligate yourself, Then it takes all those phone calls and all that time to back out of it and redo it. Don't say yes too quickly. Better to say, I don't know if I can make it, but I'll give you a call. Better to say you don't know than to say yes, yes, yes too quickly, trying to be nice and then having to back out. One of my colleagues has a good saying, don't let your mouth overload your back. Committing too soon, too quick. Being too eager to please. Appreciate yourself, your time, appreciate your own limits. Know when your commitment to someone else will end up taking time away from yourself and from your family. Have self-appreciation for your special time alone and with those you love and those who love you. This is especially important for charity work, volunteer work as well. A group of entrepreneurs I know have been very successful in their business, getting a lot of press. Pretty soon they're swamped with requests to do pro bono work, do their stuff for free. They must get a couple of offers a month to sit in on one charity board or another. But here's how they handle it. They take all requests, weigh them for time commitments, evaluate them for opportunities, then they take a collective vote on which two they'll accept during the next 12 months. You can't immediately say yes to offers that sound prestigious. You can't immediately say yes to social functions, things that sound like a lot of fun. You've got to say maybe and take time to evaluate what's an important contribution to society and what'll just take time away from your ambitions and your family. Be eager to please yourself and your family. Don't be so eager to please everybody else.